to receive that message. You have to be tuned in, because we're all just like radio stations, right? Picking up that frequency from the universe. And if you're tuned into a certain station, that's the frequency you're going to pick up. Trusting the flow of universe, that it will end, because nothing lasts forever, the good or the bad. But I had to learn to change the limiting belief that stuck with me for 40 something years.
Hello, my name is Mafalda. I'm a health and performance coach, and today we have the pleasure to have with us Karina Cury. Karina is a holistic coach and the author of the book Awakening, a journey from medication to meditation. I'm really happy having you here with me today.
Yes, thank you for having me. Really appreciate that chance to talk about what I do in my book.
Yeah. So I think it would be nice to start a little bit with your story, because I believe that where you are today and what you do today and how you help your clients today are, of course, connected to your story and all the part where you passed through when you moved to US and the difficulties that you have. So I think it will be a really nice thing to start with.
Okay, sounds good. So I grew up in Brazil, a little town called São Pedro in the outskirts of São Paulo. And from childhood, my parents married really young, and there was a lot of difficulty there. And I always loved horses, and my dream was to be a horse trainer. So I start researching a lot about horse training and what kind I wanted to do. And I wanted to go to Texas because I wanted to train cutting horses. So I was able to find an internship on a ranch in Texas, and I left when I was 18. As soon as I could travel on my own, I left with $600 in my pocket and went to the US to be a horse trainer. Well, that didn't pan out, which ended up being a blessing in the sky. I still love horses, and I still have a lot to do with horses. But so my journey here began, and by myself here, I met a lot of people, started a new career, got married, had children, went through a really hard divorce, and throughout this whole time, I was in search for something, but I was searching in all the wrong places. And it had to do with a lot of, I was lacking a lot of things. I just didn't know what. And it was from childhood traumas, was limiting beliefs, codependency issues I had, but none of that I knew. I knew nothing about the psychology of the mind. So I went through a lot of hardships, a lot of bad relationships, a really bad divorce. And so that's when I was divorced with 2 small children, no money, by myself. And I just spiraled out of control. I just became super depressed. My friends were really concerned. And that was 12 years ago. And they're like, okay, you got to do something. And a friend of mine is married to a doctor. He knew a psychiatrist. So I went to see the psychiatrist. She saw me right away. And she diagnosed me with chronic depression, started me on medication. And, for people that went down that road of pharmaceutical companies here, especially here in the US, I don't know how it works the rest of the world, but I assume it's the same way. You they hook you up to one medication, and then you go back. Well, it's not working. Well, let's up your dose. Let's up your dose. Let's up your dose. They set up like these 30-minute appointments. You barely have time to talk to them. They just get you on medication, and then the medication causes insomnia. So now they put you on another medication. And now that medication causes panic attacks. So now I'm on another medication, and that medication causes gut issues. Now my gut's not working. So they put me on another medication.
Yeah, it's a spiral.
So by the time it was over, I was taking 5 or 6 different medications. I was seeing 2 different doctors. And I knew that I needed to do something about it. That, so 10 years later, I went back to my psychiatrist and I was like, listen, I don't want to be on medication anymore. She's like, yeah, I don't think that's a good idea, blah, blah, blah. At the time, my mom had just passed away. She was my rock, and she was trying to inspire me to get off medication as well. And that's when the synchronicities of the universe, I met this holistic life coach, and it was just the right time. And I called her. I'm like, I really need help. I just really bad timing right now. I concerned with myself about all these medications that I'm taking. My mom just passed away. She was my rock, and I just
Mm-hmm.
feel really lost. So 4 years ago, I started seeing her. I still see her. She has changed my life. She helped me get off medication. I took a whole new holistic approach to my health, to my life. I took control of my own happiness, because that's
Yeah.
what I try to teach my clients, right? You are in control of your health, of your life, of your happiness. And 4 years later, I started doing a lot of like spiritual research and about spirituality and
Mm-hmm.
health and all kinds of things. And I went into this spiritual retreat in Brazil. And I always told my coach I wanted to write a book, and I wanted to, I kind of felt like my purpose in life was to help others, but I didn't know how to.
Yeah.
And she was like, as you are a coach, she's like, okay, well, start the new habit of writing a book. Go and open your computer for 10 minutes a day, and write 3 paragraphs, but do it every day. And I went to the spiritual retreat, and I had a download, and I left there with this inspiration about my book, and I came home and I didn't stop writing. It took me a year, and I wrote this book, and I took this life coach certification, and I actually took several certifications, because you start learning and you can't
Yeah.
stop. It's so
True.
interesting, and there's so much to learn. There's so many books to read. And so at the same time I was writing my book, I was doing all this research and reading, and I still am. And it's been incredible. And now I get to do what she done for me. I get to help empower people. I get to help them have a healthier, happier, life, and to be in
Yeah.
charge of their life. And that's my story.
Yeah, amazing.
Yes.
One thing that you said, that the life coach that you are working with, uh, she appeared in the right time, and this is like a sign of the universe sending
Uh-huh.
her to you. But
Yes.
how did you knew that? Because sometimes it's hard to understand the signs of the universe.
Hmm.
Sometimes, okay, there is the signs, but we are looking to somewhere else, or we are distracted or whatever, but sometimes it's hard to grab these signs. How did you knew that, okay, this is something I need to try to go there?
Well, you know how the universe is funny. You ask, right? And then he sends several
Yeah.
messages, but like you said, you're not in tune, or you're not in tune with your intuition, let's
Yeah.
say. And it's just like this little things, but her feed kept popping in my IG. And at the time, I was not very big on Instagram. I didn't use it
Hmm.
very much. But for some reason, I would go, oh, I'm going to go look on Instagram. And every time I did open Instagram, it was her feed that would pop up. And it was a video she posted, or some message she posts. And I knew this lady. I met her before she was a coach, a holistic coach. So she was actually a friend of a friend. And I
Hmm.
asked him, I said, hey, Michael, I really like what Caroline's doing, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, yeah, I'm not sure very much. I haven't talked to her for a while, blah, blah, blah. And, this went on for a couple of years. And then when my mom passed away, same thing. I opened IG. I was kind
Yeah.
of trying to keep my mind busy, and then open. And I took that as an answer from the universe. maybe you need help,
Yeah.
and she could help you. And I believe me, I used to be really stubborn, and the universe would send me messages, but I was never in tune with. So now I make a point to every morning say I do my gratitude exercises when I wake up, and I always ask God, life source, the universe, whatever you believe in,
Yeah.
to help me to know that, to be in tune with the message. What do you want me to do next? What is your, what is your purpose to me? What do you need me to do to serve
Yeah.
you? To be a light to anybody that needs it. Let me, let those people resonate with me. Let me be a help who I can help that day, or at that time. So,
Yeah.
and it happens, it's just their vibration, I guess, resonates with yours. And people, and don't do very I don't do ads or anything. I make videos on Instagram, and I have a
Mm-hmm.
group on Facebook, and that's how people show up in my life, and they'll send me a message, hey, I saw you what you wrote, and it really resonated with me, and this is what I'm going through, can we make an appointment? But that's how
Yeah.
my clients come to me, because something that I said, or a post that I, just like Caroline
Yeah.
came to
That
me, right?
resonates with them. Yeah.
Yeah. So same way. So that's how the universe works. But
Yeah.
you have to be ready. I think you have to be ready to receive the message. You have to be tuned in, because we're all just like radio stations, right? Picking up that frequency
Yeah.
from the universe. And if you're tuned into a certain station, that's the frequency you're gonna pick up. So at the time, I was tuned into that frequency, I guess.
Yeah, I think one thing that I really see in a lot of people around me is that I think we pass from one extreme to the other. So a few years ago, everybody had a certain religion. Either it was Buddhism or it was Christianity, whatever. And now, I don't know in US, but in Portugal, there is a lot of people that now they are completely disconnected with spirituality because they see spirituality as okay, spirituality means praising to a specific god, either it's Jesus or it's whatever.
Hmm.
And what do you think is the, let's say, the biggest misconception people have about spirituality and the importance of spirituality in well-being?
So I think when you say spirituality, a lot of people get scared. A lot of people that are religion or grow up religious, and they go to a church and attend organized religion, right?
Yeah.
They think spirituality is like what you do woo woo stuff or witchy things,
Yeah.
like it's not godly. Well, you and I know that is far from it. We're spirituality to me is I connect with the divine myself. I don't need to go to church. I don't need to read the Bible. I don't need to do any of that. I myself, because I'm a particle of God. I call ourselves godicles. We're particles of God. So God being life source, right? The
Yeah.
energy, and this idea that I think that people are disconnected mostly of religion, or because if you think about religion, it's they present religions present this idea of God who is a male, and he has a son, and he has the Holy Spirit, and he has no mother, no daughter, no sister, and he destroyed the earth, and he it's somebody that we fear, right? And we grew up with these dogmas of the patriarchy being feared, and women have no power. Well, people kind of like are waking up that that's not true. That's not
Mm-hmm.
what spirituality is. And so they kind of moving away from a lot of these religion that sell that kind of idea of God, but they don't really know what else is out there,
Yeah.
right? They don't know that you don't need any of that. And I love I mean, some of those, the philosophy, like Buddhism, Taoism. I love these philosophies. I love what they teach, but I take a lot from them, but it's not something that I follow. That I'm not a Buddhist, or I don't follow any of those philosophies.
Specific
But I
religion. Yeah.
specifically, but I love the
Yeah.
teachings, right? And I take a lot of it, but they also don't understand that is a philosophy and there's a teaching, and you're not worshiping Buddha, right? You're just learning um, from what he has to teach you, because he was a very incredible. I mean, it is incredible philosophy, just like Lao Tzu was
Yeah.
an incredible philosopher, and all these great masters. But I think that's what it is. People know that religion is not where spirituality is.
Yeah.
Spirituality is something beyond that, and but they don't know how to go, because this everything that is not what they kind of know,
Yeah.
it scares people, But spirituality is so much more. It's just a connection with the divine, is being tuned with your intuition, is being um in love with life, grateful, and knowing that this body is a gift. My everything that I have is a gift, and you got to take care of this body. You got to um and one of the things that I think religion really tries to instill in people is fear. And I'm reading this book right now. I don't know if you ever heard of Napoleon Hill. And he was a guy here in the United States. He wrote a book that was very famous.
Mm-hmm.
And Carnegie, which the like the big money when United States, like during the Depression, all of these rich guys, um, Carnegie, Rockefeller, and they basically controlled the country. He said to Napoleon, he'll go in and interview all these people and find out how they became rich. Like, let's find out how they become rich and what their failures taught them, because failure can teach you a lot of things. And I also talk to that about with my clients. Why did I have an awakening? Because I hit rock
Yeah.
bottom. Maybe if I didn't get off my comfort zone, I wouldn't have this awakening, right? Maybe I would, or maybe I wouldn't. So a lot of people, if you don't get off, if you get thrown off your comfort zone, maybe you don't feel the need to be awakened. But anyway, so this guy wrote a book in the 30s that was like, he talks about intention and manifestation. We use other words for it, but something that in the 30s nobody talked about,
Yeah.
you know? And anyway, so he wrote this book, and it's called Think and Grow Rich. And then he wrote this other book. It's called Outwitting the Devil. And the book didn't come out until 1970 because his wife was really scared of him
Mm-hmm.
publishing the book, because at the time, religion was a big thing in the United States. And he's like, you're going to be killed. People are not going to like this. So after she passed away, the foundation published the book. But the book it's like he's having a conversation with the devil. And he asks the devil how he enslaved humans, basically. And the interesting part is the devil says he loves religion. He loves churches because it teaches people to have fear of God, fear of death, fear of poverty. And that
Fear
is
of hell.
that's what keeps people paralyzed. And how amazing, right? It's like, and that's why I try to, fear is something that it's been just pushed down our throats and is in our subconscious and everything. I mean, like, if you think about all these major feelings that we get, anxiety and depression, it all comes from fear of something,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that's what's been taught to us since we're little kids. If you don't do that, your parents are going to punish you, and God's going to punish you if you don't live exactly like
Yeah.
this.
If you
And
don't do this, you are not going to heaven, you are going to hell. So
yes,
it's the
and
fear.
now
Yeah.
everything. And so now it's trying to teach people to let go of fear, and it's so engraved in us that is very difficult, and it's still something that I'm working on myself, you know.
Yeah, yeah, I think that is an important distinction between spirituality and religion, because I think um, in the core, let's say in each religion, there is some good fundamentals. The part is that in the differences between religions can create some disruptions between everyone, but the core of each one is like unite, is like love and so on. But the point is, we pass from one extreme of everybody has a religion, and these religions could create some chaos and some wars and so on, to people not having spirituality. But in
Hmm.
fact, spirituality have a big impact in our well-being, and you are one person that proves this, because spirituality um, was an important part in your journey, in your coming back to, or coming out from medication.
Yes. To
Yeah,
know that I don't, I don't need to be loved. I need to love myself. I don't need to have a relationship. First, I need to love myself,
yeah,
and with that come that feeling that God lives within me, and everything that I need is here with me. And to know, and it's all about self love, right?
yeah,
Self love is the most important thing that you can teach, that somebody can get. I mean, I think once you get self love, a lot of your problems will go away, because you will,
yeah,
when you have self love, you're not codependent anymore. You know that you're going to be in a relationship because you want to add some, to somebody's happiness, but you don't, you can. A lot of people get in this relationship because they want to fix their life, and they want to that person to fix
yeah,
how they
exactly.
feel. And so you're incomplete, but you think that person's going to complete you, and nobody's ever going to complete you.
Yeah,
Every
yeah. How did you start building this self-love in you, and also start embracing more spirituality?
habits, right? Changing habits in life, and it's like little small steps every day, and start with expressing gratitude. I think that my coach would say, okay, start your day expressing gratitude. And some days, believe me, I did not want to express gratitude. I could not think of one single thing I was grateful for in the beginning.
Yeah,
And I would be like, this is bullshit. I I don't know what I'm grateful for. But once you start to finding some little things that you're grateful for, then you start realizing that you have everything that you need, and everything that you need you have. And it's a powerful feeling. And then you feel that connection with the divine, and start spark that the fire within you, right? To know more. Wow. Well, okay, you're right. Gratitude is amazing. I have everything. What else is out there that's going to make me feel better? That's going to bring peace to my life. So I think that gratitude is what sparked that fire first. But in
yeah,
the beginning, I was like, and it's so simple, right?
yeah,
When I tell people that, I'm like, okay, I have your homework is to find 3 things you're grateful for, and I always like feel silly telling people that because it's so little. But once you do it for 30 days and it becomes like a habit in your
yeah,
life, then you start realizing, okay, what else is out there? What else can I do to feel better? To realize that I am very blessed, and I can heal myself from this. I can't, I can find ways to be happy, and and happiness is, there are moments, right, of happiness. I
yeah,
always tell people nothing lasts forever, but to enjoy the present moment. So when you do have those moments of joy, you're fully present and you're really enjoying, and knowing that when things happen in life, things that you're not going to be happy about, but nothing lasts forever, and
yeah,
just trusting the flow of universe that it will, and because nothing lasts forever, the good or the bad. and
yeah.
i and I think once I start expressing gratitude, I started reading more about spirituality, became more curious, started following a lot of spiritual masters, and but yeah, it sparked a curiosity in me, and I think that's what kind of got me into. And then of course my coach was like, okay, read this book now, or do this, or just stuff like that. Start
Yeah.
practicing, start exercising again, start thinking about the food that you eat. And I stopped drinking. um yeah, I started doing things that hurt this vessel, because I'm so grateful, for this body that carries my soul, that I started, okay, I got to take care of this. This is
Yeah.
important, you know. So you start seeing the connection with everything, and it is an amazing journey.
Yeah, I think sometimes people, when they think about spirituality, they think it's a really uh, like esoteric thing and really hard to start embracing their spirituality. But sometimes just these small habits and this like planting the seed of curiosity, as you were saying, can start the things rolling and start embracing their spirituality, and at the same time increasing their self-love.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, exactly. And then you seen the connectedness of
Yeah.
everything in the universe. And you start, and I think that amazing part for me was seeing everybody, like on that spiritual retreat that I told you about.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing this healing, ancestral healing, and I closed my eyes, and I felt the energy of everybody in the room. And I saw that we're all like little points of energy, and we're all connected. We're all one, and nobody's different than anybody. And I started having so much more compassion towards humanity. And I try to, and now I, I understand, I understand people much more. Like I know that I feel their pain sometimes,
Yeah.
like, and, when I see somebody that's struggling with weight issues or drinking issues, I feel compassion, because I know they're in the part of their journey.
Yeah.
And, and, I can't put on the magic. I mean, I have the magic glasses now. I like to say, the universe give me the magic glasses, but I cannot give it to them, right? Because
Yeah.
they have to search on their own,
Yeah.
and that is the hardest part. To go, dude, you gotta try on those glasses. It's so good. You're gonna love it. But everybody has their own timing,
Yes, I agree.
and, and you want to help them feel the way you feel, but you can. And I think that's the hardest part for me. It's like wait for people to come to me, because I want, and I can't. It's not my job.
Yeah.
It's not what I'm supposed to do. I have
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, but at the same time, even if you cannot tell people, okay, come to me, you can try to inspire, like with your book, for example. So
Yeah.
it's normally it's not only me that says that, but people say that you change for pain or inspiration. So you are trying to help people through inspiration in this case.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's exactly what it is. In the beginning of the book, I talk about my journey, and I talk about my hardships. And it was never about, I didn't want people to feel sorry for me. It was about knowing that it doesn't matter what you go through. And sometimes you do things that you're not proud of, and you feel shame and guilt.
Mm-hmm.
You got to let go, because that's not what it's about. And you can never be in the victim mode, right? Like, oh, feel sorry for me. That was never, it was about empowering people. If I can do it, so can you.
Yeah.
And so it's exactly what it is. And it's a how-to book, right? I tell people how I start to practice gratitude, and I start to meditate, and I start reading these books, and I start studying these great masters, and then just start clicking, because then it starts making sense. And I think, is like I said, is the magic glasses, right? All of a
Yeah.
sudden you are in tune with the universe, and you like, oh, okay. So you start to be more connected, and it comes with practice and time. It doesn't happen over time. And it's, and the healing process is never over, because it's been 4 years now, and I meet with my coach every 10 days. And I think, I think, wow, what are we going to talk about this coming week? But something always pops up. And sometimes it's something we already work on several times, but it's just, it
Just
rears
popping
its head.
again. Yeah,
Yeah,
of
it
course.
pops in again, or, it's it triggers some other kind of emotion, and it's never over. It's like
Yeah,
an onion. You take a layer and there's another layer, so, and people go, well, how long your clients work with you? I said, well, I've been working with my coach for almost 5 years. So it's you can't set a timeline.
yeah,
It's like, I love talking to my coach, because I feel like I get I feel inspired when I talk to her.
yeah. One thing that you were talking regarding your book and this inspiring other people. Sometimes it's hard for people to see the when they see, for example, your example that you stop medication, and you were able to improve your health with meditation and spirituality. But sometimes people have difficulties in seeing these examples as inspiration, and not saying simply, okay, this person is stronger or better or whatever than me, so this girl or this man can, but I can't because whatever. How can
Hmm.
you help people um, truly use this example and your example as inspiration, and not being stuck in this loop of, okay, I cannot do even if this person can.
Yeah, that's a hard one, because you have to want to change your life.
Yeah,
And when you want to change, you would do anything. You will, because you don't want to feel hopeless anymore.
yeah,
You don't want to feel the despair. You don't want to, like, I didn't want my kids to see me like that. Like, I would take them to school and I would go back to bed and cry myself to sleep. And then I would put on a happy face and I would get up and I go get them, and then I put them to bed and I cry myself to sleep. So, and then when they were not here, I'll take all my medication and a bottle of wine, and so I can numb that pain. So I
yeah,
had all these crutches, right? Well, I know that started causing me a lot of health issues, on top of my mental issues, because
mhm,
and that is the thing about holistic. People go, they don't understand the word holistic meaning a whole,
yeah,
as the mind, body, and spirit. We're all connected, and if one is off balance, everything is out of balance, and that's why you have to work
yeah,
holistically, right? And that's what it makes me mad about. And I know there's some great physicians there, and I believe somewhat believe in the medical industry. I think that if you have a broken bone, great, you can go and have they can fix it for you. Or if you have like a major,
yeah,
but to heal your mind, body, and soul from things like I was going through, the doctors are not healers anymore, right? It's not cost effective for them. They can't take the time. They don't,
yeah.
because
all
it
the
takes.
system all the system is programmed for, so it starts in the education, that it's the education is focused more in corrective, and okay, how can we correct this problem, and not exactly how can we go to the root cause of the problem. So it's just a quick fix. And then the system itself, and as you were saying, the 30 minutes consultations, sometimes it's not even 30 minutes, sometimes it's even less. So it's really hard to understand the full spectrum of mind, body, and spirit in just 15 minutes or 30 minutes. So
Exactly.
it's
Yeah,
not.
like my coaching sessions are, I block 2 hours for people. because it could be an hour, but it could be a day where they
Yeah.
have a lot more to talk about. So I don't go, okay, well, our hour's up. No, I give them 2 hours, and I feel like, 2 hours is enough. And normally sometimes an hour and a half, sometimes they're an hour 45. It never goes over 2 hours, but um, because I want them to feel some clarity on that session,
Yeah.
to like and have set up some goals for that week or whatever, and
Yeah.
and so they can feel like empowered, like, okay, I have things that I can do to work on myself
Yeah.
and until our next session,
Yeah.
because just meeting once a week and, okay, let's talk about your problem, it's not how it works. And that's the thing that it blows my mind. People don't question the doctors. They think the doctors, oh, they went to medical school, they know what they're doing. um the doctors now are trained to use medication, so there's a protocol, and they're like, okay, if you have this symptom, they're
Yeah.
going to give you this medication, and most of the medications mask the symptoms. For example, women now, I don't know, there in Portugal, I read that you guys have a really good health system, and that the food is it's healthier there, and it's just a good. In Europe, I know that there are a lot of the foods that are available here in the United States are not even allowed in
Yeah. Yeah.
Europe
They have
because,
stricter restrictions in
yes.
European Union. Yeah.
So because I feel like a lot of the foods that we eat here also cause a lot of health issues. For
Yeah.
example, women didn't used to have thyroid problems. That started about 60 years ago, I think, if I'm correct. But it has to do with all the metals in our food, all the pesticides and everything. So they give medication for thyroid issues. Well, it just masks the problem. It doesn't heal the thyroid, right? But
Yeah.
there's holistic things you can do. For example, iodine. A lot of people are iodine deficiency, or selenium, or
Yeah.
all kinds of things. And like, if you do your research, you can know that if you change your diet, if you start putting these supplements into your diet, because our food
Yeah.
is not rich in supplements and like in vitamins anymore, like I used to be. So you have to
Yeah.
take a lot of supplements. But if you start doing your research, but people just blindly trust someone with their body and their mind. And
Yeah.
so question, you have to question, you have to do your own research, you have to take charge of your health.
Yeah, I totally agree. Because I think is, of course, there is the question in terms of the doctors and how all the system is created. But I think uh, people are not used to taking care and to take ownership of their health. They
Hmm.
are like outsourcing their ownership
Yes.
to either doctors or, I don't know, nutritionists or whatever. And of course that all of these specialists have a goal. But even if, for example, a nutritionist says, okay, this is your meal plan, you need to understand first, trying and to see if how do you feel with this meal plan, and then,
Hmm.
okay, am I if this works, how can I support myself continuing doing this meal plan? So it's the you need to take ownership of your health, and I think this is
Yes,
in all these three big areas: the mind, body, and spirit.
exactly.
Yeah. Queria fazer uma pausa neste vídeo para te falar do meu programa Super, o meu programa de Health and Performance Coach. São 6 sessões individuais ao longo de 10 semanas. Vamos definir quem tu queres ser, quais os teus objetivos e o que é que tens que fazer para lá chegar. Vamos perceber como é que podes melhorar o teu bem-estar físico, mental, emocional e espiritual para alcançares a tua melhor versão. Se tiveres alguma dúvida, podes consultar superus.pt/produtos. Podes ainda enviar e-mail para mafala.superus@gmail.com ou então enviar uma mensagem para as redes sociais. How did you start? Okay, you say that you started with your coach, but how did you approach these three big areas in your own healing journey?
So the health, once I started getting off the medication, I started dealing. I mean, like I knew I have a lot of side effects from the medication I was on, and I'm still kind of dealing with a lot of with some of the side effects, because it lingers. So it made me aware of how it almost made me a little bit angry, right, with myself for putting myself through that and my body through that. So then I became super interested in the medical field and how doctors operate and why they are prescribing all this medication. So I started doing a lot of research, and of course I go to a lot of spiritual retreats. So I even met like several doctors that also went, and they're like getting off their MDs, and
Yeah.
they're becoming more natural holistic doctors,
Yeah.
because of that. They're sick of that too. And actually, I just went to a doctor because because of my gut issues.
Mm-hmm.
I have like learned all kinds of things about food, and I started taking all kinds of things up my diet, like dairy, meat,
Yeah.
um, and learning what my body likes and what my body doesn't like. And it's like you said, I eat something and I see how I feel, and does it give me energy or does it make me lethargic, or how, what it does to my body. So I started listening to my body a lot more. Anyway, so I discover a lot of things about my body that way, and then I start following doctors in Brazil and IG, and I read about this guy in Canada that wrote about did a lot of research about cancer and how cancer is related to emotions. Um, so I just started doing a lot of my research. But anyway, I went to this doctor, and she's a specialist, and I was talking to her, and it was like I had to wait 8 months to see this doctor. And I was telling her everything that I went through,
Mm-hmm.
and she goes, "So you've been dealing with this gut issues for all this time, and you've been to gastros?" And I said, "Yeah." And she goes, did they tell you to do this and this and this and all these tests you can do, right, to test the muscles in your gut, and like it's like when you take a pill and they do an X-ray and see how it's moving to make sure that you don't have an enlarged, like extra large colon, so it takes long time to move everything.
Yeah.
And I said no. And I've been to like 3 different gastros, and she said to me, these are her words. She's like, that drives me crazy. That is not right. You know what those doctors want? They want to see if you don't have cancer, you're not gonna make them money. So they just go, okay, bye, come back in 10 years for another colonoscopy. And she said, and that is not what we sign up for. That's not what doctors go into medicine for. I went into medicine because I wanted to help people. So even that doctor was disgusted with how the system operates, right? So I started just following good doctors, right? Doctors that believe in taking charge and eating in food, like let food be your medicine,
Yeah.
testing all kinds of things, I started reading a lot of books about spirituality, and the like one of my favorite, like I love Lao Tzu. I started reading all these great people in the United States that have programs that work on the psychology of mind, and they're not psychiatrists, they're not psychologists, they're like people like me
Mm-hmm.
who went through a really hardship and had an awakening, right? One of my favorites, Byron Katie, and she created this system called the work, and she asked for questions to, but it's like in a whole setup, and
Mm-hmm.
it's about teaching you how to look at things in a different way. But just reading about these great people and then connecting the dots and seeing that, like, you have to, for your mind to be healthy, your body needs to be healthy, and for you to um, know how to do all these things, you need to connect to the universe, which is your spirituality,
Yeah.
right? So it's all interconnected.
Yeah.
And I don't know which one it was first, but it just kind of happened, and it's like all connected one day, and I was like, huh, oh, yeah, I get it. It's like I told you, like all of a sudden I put on the magic glasses and I'm like, I understand. So I don't know like
Yeah,
which one came first, but it was really researching and being curious and wanting to be healthier and happier and feel better,
yeah,
mostly to feel better, because it was not just my mind that was a mess, it was my body was a mess, and I was having a lot of pains, like my back hurt, my neck hurt, like I had neck issues, I had hand issues, like everything was I was just in a lot of pain. I couldn't do
yeah,
the things that I wanted to do, and I would go to doctors and they're like, wow, just I'm 40 years old and I'm just like falling apart, but it's because I was not taking charge. I was not taking ownership. I was not doing, I was hurting myself.
yeah. Yeah, I think sometimes it's really hard to make the connection with the mind and the body. I was remembering you were talking about the emotions and how the emotions can affect your physical body. I read a book a few weeks ago that is I don't remember the name of the author, but is Mind Body Prescription. Um, and basically, the author is a doctor also, and he was explaining that some physical that he saw in some of these patients, that he did a lot of exams and all the exams came negative, and to that specific client, he understood that the physical pain was created by the mind because the mind couldn't deal with the strong negative emotion. Basically,
Mhm.
it was an escape from the mind, so distracting the mind from the negative emotion. um, the mind created the physical pain. And the book is written by a doctor, and he said that he had several clients experience this, and when they stop focusing on the physical pain and start looking to the emotional pain, then the physical pain went away.
Exactly. And that's how I was able to heal myself. It's like healing with my spirituality, working on my mind, and all these pains are start going away because it was not my body, it was my mind. And it
Yeah.
was like all this trauma and from childhood. And have you ever heard of theta healing?
Yeah,
It's
I
like,
don't. Yeah,
yeah, and so how they connect, like for example, guilt has to do, like if you get a bacteria in your body, has to do with guilt. So all these diseases you have are connection with an emotion, right? And I really
yeah,
believe that. And because the mind is so subjective, and again, you start think you get in these spiral of negative thoughts, and like that's why one of the things I tell my clients is to never say anything negative about yourself,
yeah,
because your mind doesn't know that you're joking or you're just saying that, but it believes it. So, oh
yeah,
well, he thinks he's a loser, so he must be a loser.
yeah,
So, and so it's starting to, and it starts to come into reflects in your physical body. And sometimes when I go around people, and they start saying things like, oh, I hate my body, or I'm bad, I'm this, I'm that, and I'm like, oh, it hurts me so bad. I'm like, stop, you're not,
yeah,
stop saying these negative things about yourself. You're hurting yourself. They have no idea how much they're hurting themselves by saying that. And it's painful to listen and to watch them do that to themselves. And again, comes down to self-love. I think everything, I think once you learn to love yourself, you never want to hurt, like, because you're purposely hurting yourself but you don't know, and you never want to do that again.
yeah,
But it's like it's part of the awareness. And how do you get that awareness, right? The self-awareness, you have to want to start learning, and it has to start somewhere. And I don't know, maybe one of these on one of my videos, or somebody, like I keep hoping that, yeah, I don't know if they're going to read my book and like you said, they're going to feel, oh yeah, she did it, but I can't do it. Or if they're, hopefully my goal is for them to be, oh, well, she can do it, I can do it too. Let me follow these steps and, find joy by myself,
Yeah.
because I don't need anybody. All I need is, a little, and, I mean, of course, you need empowering, and sometimes it needs to come from an outsider, but all you really need is the desire to want to change,
Yeah.
to want to be better.
Yeah, there is a quote from Joe Dispenza. I don't know, I don't remember exactly how it is, but it's something like your uh, beliefs create your thoughts create your actions, something like that. And it's like you were saying, if our brain is always, or our actions will always try to confirm our thoughts. So if we say, I don't know, I'm lazy, and I remember that one of my clients, she was always saying to herself, I'm lazy. My mother always said when I was child that I'm lazy. uh, and when, only when she stopped this under seeing herself as lazy and
Mhm.
breaking this identity, she starts doing something that doesn't that lazy people don't do. For example, in her case, it was going to the gym, because
Yes.
while she was thinking, oh, I'm lazy, what a lazy person do, she prefers to stay on the couch instead of going to the gym. So these beliefs, our beliefs and our thoughts creates our actions. So
Well, and it's interesting that you say that. I love Joe Dispenza too. I do a
yeah.
lot of his meditations, but what he's teaching and what I'm teaching is nothing original, is nothing new. But like I said, Lao Tzu, he
Yeah.
was the original that talk about your thoughts becoming. And I wrote in my book. I have a chapter about Lao Tzu, and so I'm just going to read. It says, his
Yeah.
teachings emphasize the concept that our thoughts shape our reality, that our internal state of being is reflected in the world around us.
Yeah.
So yeah, your thoughts become your reality,
Yeah.
because
Exactly.
it becomes words, it becomes feelings and words, and once that thought is attached to an emotion, and it becomes a reality. And that's why you have to attach your thoughts with a good emotion,
Yeah.
because thoughts and emotions is what's gonna change,
Yeah.
right? So
Exactly.
it's like this feeling like of her being lazy. I'm like, I love exercising. And like I had to create. I used to think that go to exercise, but I find things that once I start seeing that it makes my body better, then I start enjoying. So
Yeah.
now it's not the thought, like the thought of exercising is attached to the emotion that it feels good, right?
Yeah.
It feels really good to exercise. And then, but a lot of these things, like you said, our parents said things to us that they didn't mean it. They didn't know it was going to cause so many
Yeah.
problems. But like my mother told me one time, we were little and we were doing homework together, and I could not understand the math problem. And it was simple problems. I was like 7 years old and was like, oh, little Johnny has two apples. And then he gave one apple to Mary. And then Mary had three apples. So now how many apples Mary has? Well, when you're just learning math, it's like, huh, Johnny? Like it's
Yeah.
really confusing. And I just like, I couldn't understand. And my mother said, bless her heart, you're just not smart, are you? And I remember her saying that. And my whole entire life. And that's why writing this book was such a
Awakening.
release of a limiting belief to me, because I used to think that I was not good enough, smart enough
Yeah.
to write a book. And now I know that I'm smart, but I had to learn to change the limiting belief that
Yeah.
stuck with me for 40 something years. I had this belief that I was not smart because of one thing that my mother, because our minds are so subjective. And that's why I no longer watch the news. I do not associate myself to any parties, political parties. I do not
Yeah.
talk about it. I do not watch anything that's aggressive on TV, because your mind is subjective, right? And you put yourself in that situation and that environment of negativity, and you start to pollute your mind, right? And
Yeah.
therefore your entire being. So I don't also see, I mean, like I work with people and I teach them how to be positive, but like if I have people that cannot understand that negativity is just a poison, then I love them and I send them unconditional love, but I do not associate with them, and I do not put myself in those situations anymore, or I do not associate with myself with anything like that, because I don't want to pollute my mind, because it took me years to cleanse myself, my
Yeah.
body, mind, and soul from all that, those limiting beliefs and those dogmas, and that get off that, being that cog on the machine plugged into the matrix, right?
Yeah.
Once you get away from that, you never want to go back there.
Yeah.
So I don't allow myself to be in those situations anymore.
Yeah. And it's negativity is a bit contagious. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And what you were saying regarding these limiting beliefs is again planting the seed of curiosity. Like you were saying, you are not smart. But then at a certain point, you ask, is this right? Why this is here? Did I do something that proves the opposite of this? Because when you start planting these seeds of curiosity and asking, is this real or this is just a belief? And if
Yes.
this is a belief, is this belief serving me or not? And if it's not
Yes.
serving me, okay, how can we deconstruct this? But it's just not, because sometimes our is not believing in everything that we think, because sometimes our thoughts are not real, as you say, or majority of the times our thoughts are not real. So we just start questioning our thoughts and understanding if these thoughts are serving us or not, basically.
Yeah, and then so this lady I told you that I read her book, and I think she's amazing. She's 80 now, and I really want to do her workshop, but I haven't been able to. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope she still do it, because she's getting older. But she talks about that. These thoughts were not yours, were given to you.
Yeah.
And so the main thing you have to do is, like, for example, okay, I've been told I'm not smart. Is this true?
Yeah.
What? Show me something that proves that I'm not smart.
Yeah.
Is this really true? Now, turn it around. And then she said, now, how would your life be without that thought that you're not smart?
Yeah.
Okay, I would be happier, because I would be believing myself. Okay, well, do you feel you can drop that thought, because that thought is not yours?
Yeah.
You didn't create, it was given to you. So she's like, those four powerful questions, and you
Yeah.
just, once you learn to do it yourself in your mind, and you go, okay, it was not given to me. Is it true? No, it's not true.
Yeah.
I'm smart.
Yeah,
you know
and also sometimes questioning, okay, what is a smart person? Because maybe I had this belief, but for me, a smart person doesn't have anything about why I think I'm not smart. For example,
uh-huh.
one thing that for I discover also in a retreat that I after I think 1 or 2 days of the retreat, this thought came to my mind, that when I was young, someone that I don't remember who told me that my laugh was not a nice laugh. So after that, each time that someone was telling a joke, for example, I was like smiling but not laughing because I didn't like my laugh. And after this retreat, I start asking myself, but what is a nice and what is a good and a bad laugh? Where is that defined? And
Yes.
what is my definition? And I think after that, it like release me of this. Okay, there is no definition of good or bad laugh. It's just a laugh. You
Yeah.
do whatever you do. So
Yeah.
yeah,
It's your response to your feeling of
yeah,
happiness, right?
yeah,
That's how you
exactly.
respond to like something that's funny or made you happy. You laugh, and
Yeah,
it's how your body does it, and it's you, and it's unique.
yeah,
And you learn, like you said, it's about self-love. You learn that
yeah,
it's your unique laugh. And once you learn to not care about what other people think, that's another huge step into
yeah,
self love. Like, I no longer, I used to be so worried. I'm like, oh my God, what if people, I was one of those people that always went out of her way to do everything for people because I wanted to be loved because I was not loving myself. Because I
yeah.
wanted that, I felt like I needed that love coming
Because
from
you are
somewhere.
not receiving from our own your own love, you are craving from external. Yeah, makes
Yes,
sense.
exactly. So now I no longer crave that because I know I love myself and that's all I need, you know? And
Yeah,
so, and I tell my kids, they're sometimes they'll say, kids, they're like 19 and 21, by the way, they're not kids, but they're in college. But they'll say, oh, but what is people going to think? And I said, oh, are they paying your bills? No. Then why are you worried about what they think? And but that's just a way that I try to get into their mind, because if you start going to like with your own kids, like, oh, you need to learn self love, and they're like, Mom, yeah, 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 so
yeah,
you don't want to be. So I just go, well, they're not paying your bills, so
yeah,
then why should you care what they think about you?
yeah. It's
So
try start building um this mind, body, and spirit into as soon the sooner the better. Of course, that there is some ages that maybe it's difficult um, to put in these boxes, but if we try to as you were saying, okay, talking about emotions, talking about in terms of gratitude, so in terms of putting in these three boxes of mind, body, and spirit, if we start talking about, okay, what are you grateful, it seems more practical rather than these three boxes. And
yes,
it's is this also what we want to do, not only as a kids or adolescents, but also in adults? If we try to deconstruct and these big three areas, is easier to start working on them. And as you were saying, um, it's it's not that you always need to start with the mind, it's not that you always need to start with body. It depends on each person.
mm-hmm.
But the point is, as you were saying, if one is disaligned, the others sooner or later would get also misaligned, because mind
Yes.
is affecting body, body is affecting mind, spirit is affecting body. So everything is affecting everything, basically.
Yes, as everything is connected.
Yeah,
And that's the
everything is
thing that
connected.
the doctors don't do for you. Well, let's talk about they don't ask you the question, what's going on in your life? Let's talk about what's going on in your life. Okay, well, you're feeling this, and talking about medical system. I don't know if and here in the United States, that's another reason I don't watch TV anymore. It drives me crazy. I went with my daughter. I took her to we did a girls trip before she went to college, and we came back to the hotel, and she wanted to watch this TV show. So I'm like, yeah, we'll watch before TV. Now, granted, I have not watched TV for a long time. I keep hitting my thing. I have not watched TV for a long time, like regular TV.
Yeah,
I watch Gaia. Like
yeah,
I don't know if you know about Gaia, but
yeah.
I
It's
watch
like
Gaia
the
a lot.
Netflix of self-development.
Yes, exactly. So like Dr. Joe Dispenza has
Yeah,
become
rewire.
supernatural,
Yeah,
rewire. Yes.
yeah,
So I was watching TV with her, and every other commercial was about a medicine, and it was like, for example, the commercials for antidepressants. Are you feeling sad? Are you like, this question is like, I'm thinking to myself, yeah, everybody feels sad sometimes. It doesn't
It's
mean they have to
normal.
go to, yeah. But they were like saying and showing the lady just real like sad and sitting around, like looking at the food and just not wanting to eat. And this whole scenery, I mean, they spend billions on marketing, right? And if you know anything about marketing, it works. It gets
Yeah.
that's what I'm talking about. It gets in your mind. You're like, oh yeah, I feel like that. So
It's like they are talking with you.
yes. And so, and then there comes the side effects, and they go, it causes and nothing, you cannot even hear what they're
Yeah,
saying, but
it's
it's like
yeah.
it's really long list of side effects, but it goes really fast, so you cannot understand. But it's so, oh my gosh, it made me so mad. And I was telling my daughter, I can't do this anymore. I have to turn it off. It's just too stressful to watch TV because all these damn commercials, and it was all about pharmaceutical drugs,
Yeah.
either Advil, ibuprofen, uh, uh, something about acid reflux,
Yeah.
antidepressants.
We normalize things that they shouldn't be normalized. I think I
Yes,
don't see so much TV, so I don't know if in Portugal it still passes that kind of commercials or not. I remember that, for example, in terms of uh, chocolates and burgers and so this processed food, they decrease a lot the amount of commercials that they pass on the TV. But in terms of medications, I don't know because I don't follow also so much TV because I think what we see, even if we try to control everything on inside, we are influenced from our exterior environment. So
yes.
what we see, the people with who we are have an impact on us. And if we see in television in only the bad things that happens in the world, like people that are killed, people that are raped. Of course that sometimes is important to be aware of the dangers, but you don't need to see every time, consume every time this, because either you can help somehow. If you cannot help, it will not help you, so I also try to avoid to see too much television because of this.
And if you work on yourself, you're making a huge impact because you impact the people that are directly connected to you.
Yeah.
So working on yourself, you are helping heal your family because they. So in the psychology of mind, and you probably know this as a coach, if you live with the four people that smoke, you may not smoke now, but if you continue to live
Yeah.
them like with them, you probably end up smoking. And that is how the environment you live in
Yeah.
influences your life. And it's like I see that in my own life. I have a good friend, and I don't eat, sweets. I cut sugar off my diet. I don't drink sodas. I don't do anything because sugar is like causes a lot of inflammation.
Yeah.
And I told you I was like I like changed my whole way of living. And I ride horses with her, and we go to horse events, and she would back the truck full of sweets. She loves sweets. And I would like be watching her eat, and I feel like eating. I know it's not good for me. I know it hurts my body. I know all that, right? But just watching her eat and
Yeah.
the pleasure she's getting from it, it makes me want to eat.
Yeah, it's not,
So
it's our in our genetic to crave sugary things. It's what give us energy, so it's in our genetic. That's why it's important to control somehow how your environment.
yes. So it's like, and I always go, oh, Lisa. So now she brings all her stuff, and I bring my apples, and my veggie I cut out, and she
Yeah.
laughs, and I'm like, you want some of my snacks?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that
So,
is super important.
yeah. So, but it's just, yeah, it does affect. And I see my children, like I always cooked for them at home. And my son, like, we would, we never went to McDonald's or anything. And I said, oh, it's not good, honey. It's not good for you and stuff like that. So he went to college and he's like, Mom, you lied to me. You said McDonald's was not good and I quite like it. And I said, no, I didn't lie to you. It's not good for you.
Yeah,
I didn't say it tastes terrible. Some of the stuff, I'm sure some of the stuff tastes good, but it's not good for you. I was
yeah,
trying to keep you safe, but now he's in college. I can't, I
yeah,
have no say so anymore. So they're eating all that. And I don't know if I did them good from keeping them from all this stuff, but I try my best. But now they're eating all this stuff and I see,
yeah,
like they gain weight, and they're like, they come home and they're always tired, and and I know what's causing that, but I also have to realize they have their own journey.
yeah, yeah,
They have to learn for themselves.
yeah.
And
I think that is like you we were saying before with clients, but I don't have kids, but I suppose that with kids it's a bit harder to let them follow their journey because it's
yeah,
like their pain is our pain. So,
yeah,
but still is their journey, and um, I think it's important for them to give their own steps and steps in forward and backward to understand, okay, where do I want to go,
yeah,
what is the
because
best thing for me.
there's a lot of learning moments in failure and hardships. It's like we talked about, if I probably didn't hit rock bottom and I didn't get out of my comfort zone, would I have probably would have find a way where I am today, but probably take longer. But like, you have to go through the hardships of life to
Yeah,
grow. It's part of our evolution. And yeah, and everybody has their own part. And I think now, and I talk about this in my book, I feel gratitude to all the teachers and masters I had in my life. Back then I used to go, oh my god, I dated this guy was a piece of work or this and that. And I started, like, now I take responsibility, I take ownership.
yeah,
And it was part of my journey and made me the person that I am today. And now I see them as masters, teachers, right? They
yeah,
taught me how. And it's like, I think a lot of people teach you of what not to do, right? It's like you learn from, like, the things that they did
yeah.
that you didn't like, and it's like, okay, I'm never gonna do that. So you learn a lot like that. It's like what not to do.
Yes, yes, it's
So
true.
they're all my masters, and I'm very grateful for all the teaching moments and the things that I learned from them. But back then, when I was in a lot of pain and a lot of hardship and going through these relationships, I didn't see it that way.
Yeah.
So
uh, what advice would you give to someone that is dealing with anxiety or depression and looking to make some changes with this more holistic approach?
I would say find whatever you believe in, right? But I would go in a more holistic way, holistic therapist, a holistic coach, a holistic guide. I would definitely go take that approach, because sometimes we need someone to help us, to guide us to see where the issue is, because it will be right in front of our nose, but we can't see it,
Yeah,
right? Because I that's what was happening to me. And if Caroline had not pointed out all these things, and like, okay, where is that feeling come from? When's the first time you felt that despair or that pain? Let's
yeah,
go back there. What happened? And going back to your childhood, going back to, like, when my mother was sitting with me and she said, we're talking about writing a book. And I was like, well, I just don't feel like, you know, I have the ability to write a book. Well, why do you feel like that? Well, let's look. And it just came to me. It
yeah,
was that. And I can see that moment. I was sitting at that table with my mother doing homework. And I never thought about that. I didn't remember that. But she made me look at, what triggered that feeling. what was connected to that what thought was connected to that emotion of not feeling
Yeah.
good enough, right? So um, I think that I, I love my coach and I love being a coach because we can help them see things that they cannot see for themselves. So I'm
Yeah.
like, look for help. That is and if you're not ready yet to share, maybe start reading self-help books.
Yeah.
Just start easy. There's
Yeah.
so many self-developed self-help books out there. Start with a little one, something simple.
Yeah.
So
Agree. Totally agree. Thank you, Karina. Do you want to share any project? We already talked about your book, but you can also share it again. What do you want to share and tell people where they can find you?
yeah, so I have a website. It's www.karina, Karina.life, Life. And there I talk about myself and what I do. And also you can book a free call with me to, if you want to, have a conversation and share your goals or your difficulties or whatever's going on in your life and see if it's a good fit. If you feel like I can
Yeah.
empower you and help you achieve your goals and pursue the life you desire and deserve.
Yes, the life you deserve.
Exactly.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Karina. It was a pleasure having you here with me and having this conversation so important. Um, so thank you again for accepting my invitation.
No, thank you, Mafalda. Gratitude.
Thank
Gratitude. Thank
you.
you.
Okay. I think it's stopping recording.
I said,
Thank you for seeing this podcast. I hope this podcast helped you seeing that there is other ways that we should take ownership of our own health and that we can be happy again. See you in the next podcast and let's be super together.